Hello, okay. Well, welcome, first of all. Today for class, you'll definitely need a blanket. If you have block-like things, you can always use those, but if you don't have them, you'll be fine. And yeah, we are gonna get started, and I will turn on some music, and then you guys can let me know if it sounds okay or not. Great. Oops, I just muted myself. I know how to use Zoom. Okay, so you're gonna get your blanket, and depending on how it's folded or how big it is, you're gonna want to get it into like a rectangular-ish type shape. Yeah, that's perfect, Julia. And then from there, you can just roll it. Yeah, roll it like that. Cool. And then what you're gonna do is place it down on the mat, like 3/4 of the way up the mat, so that when you come to lie down on top of it, you're gonna lie down, like it's gonna hit right where like your sports bra line or your shoulder blades are. So it's a very slight back bend. Hi, Satya.
I will just get a set of my. We need to get a towel, right? That's what I said.
Sorry, Satya, what did you say? I don't know. Satya, I'm muting you. You can just watch. And you can lie down. Yeah. And you can start out with your feet planted on the floor. And then if it feels nice, you can just lengthen your legs out like you're coming into Shavasana. Cool. Great. And then just notice how this slight back bend allows your shoulders to come down to the ground a little bit more. It gives you a little bit of a lift in your lungs and your heart, and spread your collarbones a little bit, which gives you more space in your lungs to breathe. Good morning. Cool. And just close your eyes, just come to the space. We're all in different places. That's nice to all be here together. Very nice. Cool, we'll lay here for a few more cycles of breath. We're gonna focus on a bunch of forward folds today, and we'll use the blanket to support us, so it's nice to start out with something a little bit different in this back bend. Great. Take one more really deep inhale. And one more really deep exhale. Great. And then on your next inhale, you're gonna lift your arms up and back by your ears. So your arms are still on the floor, but they're just above you. Try not to hit whatever's behind you. And then you're gonna hook your thumbs together And just stretch your hands and feet away from one another as if you're stretching for the first time. Sehr gut. Cool. And then you're gonna let that go and then just roll on to the right or left side into a fetal position, resting your head on your upper arm. Letting the side body just roll over on top of the blanket. It'll give it a nice little massage, like for the muscle that's right underneath your armpit. Great. Take a beat here, then you're gonna slowly press yourself up. And then come into a child's pose. But as you come into the child's pose, grab your blanket, unroll it. So it's just flat again. And then place it right on top of your heels, and then just come into your widening child pose with the blanket on top of your heels. Great. Cool. And then just notice how the blanket being there gives you a little bit of a lift to let your hips touch something, your heels or anything. One more cycle of breath here, grounding your head into the floor. And on your next inhale, press yourself up into an all fours position and come to find your hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips, and you can just bring the blanket away and place it on either side of your yoga mat. Very nice. So now we're in our all fours position, something normal. And then from here, we're immediately gonna flip the wrists around 180 degrees. So if you have not done that before or haven't done it in a while, you can always just go 90 degrees and have your wrists facing in towards one another. Or you can just do one at a time if that feels better. So from here, then we're gonna start taking our cats and cows, inhaling as you arch and exhaling as you round. And see if you can immediately start to speed these up, because we're gonna do a lot of forward folding today. And forward folding is kind of like a more soothing, watery vibe. And doing really fast cats and cows is more of a fiery vibe. And it's good to have the two different polarities, and we won't do that much fiery stuff. So if you can speed it up a little bit now, then you'll get that first. And then we'll begin to slow it down. But see if you can go even faster. You can go on the beat of my hands. It might seem impossible, but yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. You got it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then take a few slow ones. Keep going, slowing it down. Yeah, one class we're gonna do this for like 10 minutes. And you're gonna hate me, but it's gonna happen. Cool. And then bring yourself back to a neutral spine. Keep your wrists flipped. And then circle your hips around and over to the right. Still really thinking about pressing back through the tops of your feet. Yes, I say this every day. Someone's been typing a lot this week. Trip, I can tell your wrists hurt. Good. And then take circles to the left. And still try to find a bend in your elbows. Yeah, so that you still have some energy moving through your elbows. Cool. Okay. One more circle to the left and then come back to center. And now flip your hands around the normal way and just press them down into the ground and let any energy or sensation that you feel just charge and ground into what's below you. Cool. Then from here, you're gonna come back onto your knees. You're gonna fist bump your hands together, and then you're gonna place that underneath your shoulders. And now we're gonna stretch out the front sides of the hands. Once you place those down, you can just rock your hips forward and back. Still thinking about pressing down to the tops of both feet. And this is kind of like how we stretch the bottoms of our feet and then stretch the tops of them. It's kind of a similar, equal and opposite movement. Cool. Awesome. A few more here. And notice where you're looking, notice what your neck is doing. You always want to try to be looking down and out and not down and behind you. We always want to look out towards our future and our potential and not be stuck in our past. Cool. So now release this. Once again, ground your hands down underneath your shoulders the normal way, which now feels like a huge relief. And then place your hands a palm print in front of where they are. Take your time, tuck your toes, lift your knees, and then sticking your butt up, come into your downward facing dog. Cool, and once you're here, bring it forward and through to a plank pose. Measure it out, move your hands and feet however you need to find that straight plank wooden thing. And then bend your knees, stick your butt up, downward facing dog again. Really nice, Hannah. Good job, guys. And from here, just move it around. Take any large movements that you want with your arms or your legs or your hands. And if you feel like you're gonna touch something, see if you can use it instead. You can put a leg on the wall. You can put an arm on a wall and see what happens. Or if you have a couch next to you. Yeah. See what happens when you make contact with something else. And then slowly begin to make these movements a little bit smaller. So you still feel like there's a circle of energy moving through your body, but no one can really see what's going on. Cool. And once you make the movements a little bit smaller, start to formalize the dog. So finding your feet at hips width distance. Looking down and out at your hands to see if they're at shoulder width distance, and then bend your knees, stick your butt up again to find your down dog. Yes, really nice. Everyone shake your head yes and shake your head no. Just relax your neck. Yes, beautiful. Cool. And then slowly, slowly begin to walk your feet to the front of the mat so you come to a forward fold at the front of your mat. Once there, make sure you have a bend in your knees. Bring your two fists together and measure it out between the arches of your feet to find your hips width distance. And then if you're doing what I'm doing, you're just looking down, just let your head drop and shake it out yes and no again. You have a lot of tension head people here. Good trip for releasing. Cool. And then to take it one step further, still keeping that bend in your knees, interlace your fingers and then bring them to the back of your neck. And then bring your elbows in towards your face and really just let your head tuck into your knees. So you feel like you could almost touch your forehead to your knees. It's likely not possible. I can't do it, but that's the look we're going for today. Cool. You can take any sways or anything that you want here. Yeah. Good, guys. Making sure your knees are right over your third toe and not knocking in towards one another. One more cycle of breath here. And then let your arms dangle. Release it. And then slowly, slowly, slowly begin to roll yourself up so your head is the last thing to lift. Imagine someone's like pulling your head down. And you reluctantly don't want to lift it up. Like you sometimes reluctantly don't want to wake up in the morning. Amazing. And then once you get to the top, you can take a roll of your shoulders, a roll of your fingers. You can shake out a leg. You can do whatever you want. And then we're going to grab for the blanket again. So I have this very fun Game of Thrones blanket that I won in a bet. I can tell you the story after. But you want to have whatever blanket you have on like this long way where like I can have my, I don't know, what's the word? My whole arm span, like can basically be this wingspan. Thank you, Tripp. Tripp is my fact checker. Like it can be this wide. Yeah. So cool. And then we could roll this and be very good yogis and like roll it properly or whatever, but because we are people and humans aren't perfect, you can also just like scrunch it up and then grab it like this. We're gonna do some shoulder stuff. Or you can do what Tripp is doing, which is also inventive, and I like it a lot. So beautiful, Emmy. We're all really good. You good? Cool. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna step sideways on your mat so that we just have space. Otherwise it makes you stagger. You're gonna take the blanket and your hands are gonna be like coming over it like you're about to dive into a pool type hands. And you're gonna place it down to touch the front of your thighs. And then you're just gonna bring it up and over and let it touch like your butt. And then you're gonna keep doing this. And if it's hard for you to get it over your head, then just widen out your hands even more. But we wanna try to keep our hands our elbows as straight as possible. Yeah. Cool. And this is gonna really open up the shoulders and the muscles in the upper arms and the armpits. And also think about what your head is doing. Try not to like arch your back or stick your butt out. Just try to stand as straight up and tall. Imagine there's a line coming down from the sky straight through the crown of your head and then down straight through your body into the ground. So you're like, stick straight. There, good. And we'll take one more this way. And we'll all meet with the blanket on the front of our thighs. Cool. And then from there, you're just gonna simply flip the grip on your blanket. So now it's like a come here type grip. I've never gotten good at explaining these grips, so the palm of your hands is underneath the blanket now if you're holding it like this. And then once again, straight arms as you can, bring it back and over. Nice. And this one's a little bit harder. So if you need to lengthen out your arms and find a bigger wingspan, you can. Cool. Great. And just notice what this feels like. See if you can find a nice bend in your knees still so you have a stable, what's it called, foundation under you. Cool. Take 3 more. I can't tell if Tripp is laughing or crying, which is always good. But this is really good for your shoulders. This is another version of that shoulder flossing thing that we do. But sometimes you do it with pulls and then it really keeps you honest. So after your third one, you can just bring the blanket down, you can drop it on the floor, and then you can just shake out your arms. Yeah, wiggle, 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 do whatever you want. And then come back to stand at the front of your mat, facing front. And then slowly, slowly leading with your head, roll your body down. Good job, guys. Letting your arms dangle if they have weights on them. Have that bend in your knees, the strong foundation below you. Cool, and then once you get to the bottom, you can place your hands down and then you step yourself back into a downward facing dog. From here, inhale your body forward and through to an upward facing dog with the toes tucked, so basically coming through a plank. Yeah, but letting your hips drop a bit, and then bend the knees to the butt, downward facing dog. And then take that 2 more times. Inhaling, roll your body forward and through upward facing dog, still engaging the legs, don't let your legs touch the ground. Bend the knees, stick the butt up, downward facing dog. 1 more time. Engage the legs, keep them as strong. Imagine you're in a plank with the legs. Really nice one. Bend the knees, stick the butt up, downward facing dog. Good job, Rennie. And then inhale, lift your right leg up, down dog split. Cool. And then exhale, bend your right knee and step it to meet your right thumb. Cool. Use your hand if you need to. Then we're all about alignment here, so you really want to find your knee right on top of your ankle. Cool. So you have that perfect 90-degree angle. You can step your back knee down, untuck the back toes, and then bring your right arm and your left arm out, so kind of like a V. So you're really trying to find that contact between your right armpit and your right knee. And then continue reaching, and just reaching out is what brings you up to come up over your legs. Cool. From here, grab your opposite elbow. You can actually take any type of arm variation that you want here. You can interlace your hands at the base of your spine. You can grab your opposite elbow. You can do what we did in that forward fold and just interlace your hands behind your neck. Bring your elbows in for that back bend. Just really think about pressing your hips forward. And if you can bring your right foot more forward.
More forward.
Yeah. Because we want to kind of more like a slanted thing here than a 90-degree angle in the back leg.
So like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Then still, then you have to move this foot forward a little bit. Take a few more cycles of breath here on your own. Yeah. Good. Give you more space to move forward, up and up. Thinking forward, out, and up. And then lift your arms up by your ears on your next exhale. Place your hands down to frame your front foot. Take a breath here, just noticing. Now we're going to do a similar flow we did last week. But you're just going to inhale and bring your hips back, flex your front toes up. Exhale, come back into your low lunge. Inhale, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, straighten both legs. And then exhale, bend your knee, low lunge. And then we'll just keep going with that. You can pause or take any longer breaths or anything that you want in any of these positions. And still think if you can find that connection between your right knee and your right armpit the whole time. Or aim for that. Cool. Ooh, and if you have blocks, this is now a great time to place them underneath your hands. Cool. Awesome. Take one more full round, and then we'll meet in a low lunge on the right side. And then when you're ready, you'll tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and then step it back up into your downward facing dog. Zero glutes. Bend the knees, stick the butt up. One more cycle of breath here. Cool. And then lift your left leg up, down dog split. If you're near a wall, touch it. And see what happens. See if you can get your hips more square. And then exhale, bring your left foot to your left thumb. Little lunge. Nice. I always like using what boundaries I have around me. It's always fun. Find your left foot underneath your left knee, and then place your back knee down, untuck your back toes, you know where we're going. place your left hand out on a diagonal and your right hand out on a bit of a diagonal. Find that connection between the left armpit and the left knee. Just notice. And then hips staying square, really pressing down to the top of the back foot. Reach your arms forward, out and up. Cool. Arms are up by your ears. Cool. And then do whatever opposite arm variation you did yesterday. Cool. Or yesterday. Wow, what's wrong with me? On the other side.
Last time.
Last time. I didn't even notice that I said yesterday. So sorry. Cool. Inhaling and exhaling. I'm not tired, guys, I promise. Constrict. Yeah, I think you can push your hips forward more still. Don't be afraid. Yeah. Very good. One more cycle of breath here. Pressing your hips forward, out and up. And then lift your arms up by your ears one more time. Place your hands down to frame your front foot, and then you'll begin that flow again. Inhaling, flexing your front toes, bringing your hips back. Exhaling, low lunge. Inhaling, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Straighten both legs. Yeah. Place your hands down. And keep going. Take 3 more rounds on this side. We're getting creative with our block setups over here. And then once you've taken your 3, as long as you want in each position, you'll come back to your low lunge. Remove the block-like things if you were using them. Place your hands down to frame your front foot. Tuck your back toes. Lift your back knee and step it back down, facing dog. Cool. Bend the knees, stick the butt up. Yeah. Find your feet and hips with distance. One cycle of breath. And then place your knees down on the ground, coming down into an all-fours position. And grab for your blanket again. So, we have our blanket in our rolled up thing, sorry. And then what you're gonna do is fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. So we're kind of back to the same like rectangular position we were at in the beginning. You're all just secretly folding my blankets for me, because I didn't understand. Okay, so from here, then you're just gonna roll it up, and we can kind of keep it like this for the rest of class, so hopefully you don't have to do that much more rolling anymore, but it's always good to practice folding. Life skills learned through yoga. So from here, you're gonna come into like your wide-kneed child's pose, like stance with your knees, so your big toes are touching and your knees are as wide as your mat. And then you're gonna place this, what's it called? Blanket right at your hip crease. Then you're gonna sit back and then just lay over it. And since you all have block-like things, you can also place your hands or head on a block. This is really good for your digestion, really good for you to breathe on something and breathe deeply. It might feel like a lot at first, but just really try to breathe deep into the low belly, and the pressure will feel really nice afterwards. Beautiful. Yeah, good guys. Just take a few cycles of breath here. Calming things down. Great. More cycles of breath. And then remove the block from under your head if you have it there. Great. Place your hands down on the ground. You can move the blanket off to the side. You're back in your all fours position. And then you're going to plant your hands, tuck your toes, down dog. Great. Pedal it out a bit once you get there. Always good to slightly move it around. And then begin to walk your feet and your hands to meet each other at the middle of the mat. Cool. So we're back in our forward fold again. Told you to do a lot of forward folds, and luckily your blanket is rolled up perfectly for how we want to do this. So you're gonna grab your blanket, and you're gonna place it down on the ground, so it's just underneath the balls of your feet. You can't see my feet. Good. So you're stepping on it with the fronts of the feet, so your heels are on the ground and not on the blanket. And then on your inhale, you're going to place your hands on your shin, lengthen out your spine, look out in front of you, and then exhale, just bend over your legs. And just notice how this feels like a different stretch in the back of the legs. You can just hang or sway from side to side, letting your head drop. One more cycle of breath. And then just step your feet off the blanket. And you can just roll up as slowly or as quick as you want. Just like shake it out and give your legs a break. Shake your head. Shake your arms. Cool. And now step on the blanket again, so that this time your heels are on the blanket, but your toes are on the ground. And then from here, roll down. Great. And then one inhale, lengthen out. And then exhale, just stay hanging over your legs. And you can take an arm variation here if you want to, otherwise you can just hang whatever you want. And still make sure you have that bend in your knees. Good. A few more cycles of breath. Notice how this feels different from the other one. One more cycle of breath. And then you can remove the blanket from under you by stepping or just moving it off. And then slowly walk your hands forward, walk your feet back, come into your downward facing dog. Cool. On your next inhale, you're gonna lift your right leg up, down dog split, and then exhale, bring your right foot to your right thumb. Place your back knee down, untuck your back toes, and more quickly this time, reach your arms forward, out and up, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, immediately place your hands back down. Then inhale, bring your hips back, flex your front feet, foot. Exhale, lunge. Inhale, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, straighten both legs. Exhale, low lunge. Take that 2 more times, that whole thing. Just going through it a little bit faster. Bring your hands on blocks again if you want to. Always an option. Well, and once you've done your last one, we'll meet in our low lunge. And then all you're gonna do is lift your back knee so your toes stay tucked, you're still in your low lunge. You're finding that connection between your right knee and your right elbow. You're gonna strongly plant your left hand down into the ground, and then just lift your right arm up open to the side. Finding that slight back bend like you did in the beginning when you had lying on the ground with the blanket underneath your back. Really nice. One cycle of breath. Engaging out through the heels. Really good, guys. Looking up towards your thumb. Open your hand. And then exhale, swim your right arm over. Place your hand underneath your shoulder and step it back to your downward facing dog. Inhale, bring your body forward and through upward facing dog. Exhale, bend your knees, stick your butt up, downward facing dog. Same thing, all on the left side. Inhale, lift your left leg up, down dog split. Exhale, bring your left foot to your left thumb, low lunge. Place your back knee down and tuck your back toes. Inhale, reach your arms forward, out and up. Arms up by your ears, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, place your hands down, frame your front foot. Cool. Inhale, bring your hips back. Tuck your front toes, flex your front toes. Exhale, low lunge. Inhale, tuck your back toes, straighten your back leg, straighten. Yep. Inhale, low lunge. Exhale, bring your hips back, flex the front toes. Inhale, low lunge. Oh, I messed up that. Inhale, straighten both legs. Exhale, low lunge. One more on this side. On your own time. And then once you finish your third, you're gonna come into that low lunge with the back knee lifted off the ground. Energy is shooting out through the back of the right heel. You're gonna place your right hand down on the ground firmly and then lift your left arm up to the sky. See if you can look up right at your thumb. See if your right eye can find your thumb. So you can close your left eye. See if you can see your right eye with your left hand. Really good square hips, everyone. Awesome. Sorry. Cool. One more cycle of breath. And then big swim your left arm over. Frame your front foot. And then step it back to downward facing dog. Amazing. Okay. Once again, walk your feet forward to your forward fold. Cool. And then once again, you're gonna grab for your blanket. So similar to what we did in our downward, or in that child's pose, you're gonna just bring it to the crevice of your hips. Cool. And then just bend over your legs, have a bend in your knees so you don't need to use your hands to hold the blanket. You can just hang over your legs and the blanket's just gonna stay there. Cool. And here you can also take any type of variation. If you want to grab for your blocks and walk them out like in front of you, so you have like a down dog like spine. Or if you want to take your hands behind your back and then release them over to get more of a shoulder opener. You can do anything you want. Or you can grab opposite elbow. Whatever. Good, guys. One cycle of breath here. And then we'll all meet and with our bent knees still tracking over the third toe. So look at what your knees are doing. Don't let them knock in towards one another. And then place your hands down on the ground. So bend your knees enough to just place your hands on the ground. And then try to keep the blanket here and walk your feet back into your downward facing dog. So you're really gonna have to bend your knees and try to keep that connection. And part of the reason why we do a lot of forward folds is because we really want to try to get that connection of your belly to your thighs. It's hard, but I believe in you. And it doesn't have to be like your most amazing down dog ever. But this is what you should be thinking about when you're doing your down dog. 2 more cycles of breath here before we take a break and we can place our knees down. But you really want to try to aim for that connection between your belly and your thighs when we're doing any of these forward folds or your down dog. Because contact and connection brings safety and is helping and soothing to the body. And if you can't do it now, that doesn't mean you'll never be able to do it. It's just something fun to try again in the future. Cool. Everyone, place your knees down and come down to a child's pose. And since we have the blanket roll, why not use it again? So this time, just place your elbows right on top of the blanket. And I think this will depend on how big your blanket is, if it will actually feel anything to you, but it's all good. You're gonna place your elbows on top of the blanket, bring your hands to a prayer, and then bring that prayer to the back of your neck. So your elbows are now on this lifted, raised blanket thing, and your hands are in a prayer behind your neck. Elbows are still wrapping in towards your face. Cool, great guys. Just take a few seconds of breath here. See if you can walk your elbows a little bit forward and a little bit closer towards your face. So narrow them and forward. So then you're really getting that stretch in your armpit. Did a lot of shoulder stuff today. Beautiful. And then on your next inhale, just let your arms straighten back out. You can move the blanket off to the side, but keep it rolled up because we'll use it for pigeon. And then place your hands down, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, come into your down dog. From there, lift your right leg up, down dog split. Bend the knee, open up the hip to the right side, make sure your shoulders still stay in one line. And then take some circles with the ankle, take some circles with the knee. And then when you're ready, bring your right knee behind your right wrist. Bring your left foot out to its own side. And then find your blanket or prop or anything and stick it underneath your butt. And if you want more, go grab a couch cushion or a pillow or something else. Sorry, my butt's facing me. Yeah. Okay, bring this foot a little bit more forward. Yeah. Perfect. Cool. Then once you have your setup, then you can just walk your torso down and out in front of you. If you have the luxury of having more blankets or pillows or something, you can place them underneath your chest. And you can also take that block creation to the left side. Yeah, nice try. And just breathe. This is your time to really start to cool down. Not going to do anything really crazy after this, I think. And really see if you can widen your elbows, bring your hands together, so it really gives you a release in the shoulders also. And imagine that there's that same weight, or weighted molasses on top of you that's pressing down your entire back, so there's something spreading out your entire back. From the right shoulder down and across the back to the left hip. And then from the left shoulder down and across to the right hip. And you can close your eyes here, thinking inward. Really getting into the hips. A few more cycles of breath. And then you can slowly begin to walk your hands up. And you can leave whatever props and stuff are there, because we're just gonna immediately come to pigeon on the left side in whatever way that you wanna do that. So you can come back to your down dog, shake out both legs, walk them out, and then lift your left leg up, spin it around, or you can just come straight to your pigeon if that's something that you wanna do. If you're lifting your left leg up, take some circles with the knee and the ankle beforehand. And then bring your left knee behind your left wrist. Your foot comes out to the right side of it. And this side might be completely different, and you might want another pillow underneath. Then again, it would just be better. But I'm actually so much tired with my wrists. This way, this one passes over that. Yeah, that's what you do. Then you can just refer. Yeah. Great. So come into pigeon or any hip opener. Close your eyes. And what's nice about pigeon is that once you do it enough, then you know like what props you want and what things you need underneath your hips or underneath your arms or your head. So if something doesn't feel comfortable, then you should change it. Obviously, it's good to be uncomfortable in certain times, but not in pigeon pose. Unless, except for the sensation in your hips. That is always uncomfortable. But the way that your upper body feels or the props or anything shouldn't feel uncomfortable. And still think of that cross-referencing. Really nice, guys. Hips are still square. A few more cycles of breath. Calming the nervous system. Slowing down the heart rate. And then when you're ready, begin to walk your hands back up or roll onto a side. I mean, you can come into constructive rest. So just walk your feet out to the side or something. Knock your knees up. Yeah, perfect. Just let me get there. And then begin to bring yourself back to your down dog. Cool. Take whatever pedals or movements that you want in your down dog. This is your last down dog. And then everyone will place your knees down on the ground, come to your all fours. I mean, I lied, you're gonna have to roll up to come to all fours. Great. So you're in your all fours position, finding your form one last time. And then you're just gonna sit back and then sit on to one side. And you have your blanket roll for you there still. I also lied earlier. Unroll it so it's back in that rectangular thing, and then just fold it once. So now you have this like double folded blanket. And then you're just gonna place it behind you, and then you're gonna sit your butt on it. So we're coming into Paschimottanasana, which is basically just a forward fold, but sitting. And you still wanna think of having that down dog spine. So your feet are flexed, knees are bent, butt is kind of sticking up and out as if you were doing your down dog like this, but you're not. And then you're gonna, with your back as straight as you can, then you're gonna walk your hands out, and you can grab for the outer edges of your feet. You can just stay here. You can literally stay up and just like do whatever you want with your head. You can place a block in between your legs and let your head rest on your block. You can do whatever you want. We're just trying a different variation of a forward fold sitting. Nice. And one day we can do a fun partner yoga class, but not today. We can use these and then grab them with your hands. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Do you feel that in your legs? Yeah. Yeah. One more cycle of breath. And then slowly lengthen your legs out. Nice. Cool. And slowly begin to roll yourself up from wherever you are. And then move the blanket off to the side. And then roll yourself onto your back somehow. Any graceful way that you want. And now come into constructive rest. So widen your feet so they're as wide as the mat, and knock your knees in towards one another. So your knees are just rested on one another. Great. Cool. You can place your hands on your low belly. And you can windshield wiper your knees from side to side if you want. Bringing your eyes to a close. Cool. And then hug your knees in towards your chest for one big squeeze. And then you have options for Shavasana. You can come into your regular Shavasana, or you can shockingly roll up your blanket again and place it underneath your knees for a nice relaxing thing underneath your knees. Or you can do something that we did last week, where if you roll out your blanket to its widest, so it's really long again, and then roll that up. You might have to sit up for this one. You sit up and bring your feet together, and then place the blanket on top of your feet, and then hook it under your shins and your ankles, and then you can roll back like that. But you can take any variation that you want. You don't have to do this. Great, yeah. I love putting it underneath my knees. Always very nice. And then just find your rest. Let your feet flop out, let your palms face up. Feeling open and available, and letting everything just release. When we forward fold, we use a lot of energy to come inward. It's always nice, like in the beginning, how we did that slight back bend, to do the opposite of just letting go and letting everything release outward. notice how your breath is feeling. Coming back to the space, coming back to your breath, wherever your mind wandered off to. Begin to bring the wiggles back into your fingers and your toes and rock your head from side to side, your hands from side to side. Great. And the same thing that we did in the beginning. Hook your thumbs up overhead for one last long stretch with your arms. And if your knees are in that Supta Konasana position with your knees bent, you can use your hands to help your knees come towards each other. And then you can just roll yourself onto either side to come into a fetal position. Head can rest on the upper arm. Try to keep your eyes closed, staying inward. And then using the top hand, press yourself up to come to a comfortable seat. You can sit up on your blanket or you can sit up on a block, depending on what is best for you. And then your eyes will come to a close, hands will come down, either face down or face up on your knees or your thighs. Finding one more deep inhale and exhale all together. Inhaling through the nose. Holding it at the top, let it ripen. And then exhale out the mouth with a big sigh. Back to your normal breath. Notice how it's changed since the beginning of class, or if it's changed. Noticing, no judgment. Then bring your palms to press at the center of your chest. Thankful that we can still practice together and virtually. We'll end practice with the final bow. Namaste. Yay. The blanket stuff is hard. I did the thing with like coming into down dog with the blanket this week for the first time, and I was like, ooh, this is fun.
I didn't do it.
Yeah. It's weird. You really
Just get fun.
gotta keep on sticking your butt up. It's really good.
You were pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I dropped it once. You were really good at it. You didn't drop it at all.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm gonna stop recording. Thank you for joining.